the Puma Deviate Nitro 2 at 300 plus miles. A fairly unique milestone on this channel for a daily trainer. How is this shoe holding up at this time? Let's find out. So before we get into the video, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're ready, subscribe watching the content. Thanks so much, love you guys a lot. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Strava for all sorts of other updates. Without further ado, let's begin. Specs for the shoe, somewhere here where you can see them. And I guess the first thing we'll get into is the outsoles of the shoes, because that's kind of important, right? It's a big factor for me, at least, to determine whether the shoe can continue on, right? So, as you can see, we do have just immediately, from what you'll probably see more in the forefoot areas, is some of our lugs across the shoe, and this outsole outer area of the shoe is almost completely lost any sort of texture it's had. So like you can see that sort of in this right foot there, both on this particular area of the shoe and in the toe box area. So that's probably as a result of mixed form, right? So practicing with like my existing running form versus the runner's running form I'm trying to get more into. I'm gonna have a video on this. I'll try to link it if it comes out beforehand. But point there is, like, whenever I'm landing with the shoe, or have landed historically, it was probably more on the external side of the shoe, the anterior side, and then there would have been a roll sideways, and then the ankle would have been turning inwards. So if you were like looking at the back of my foot, my ankle would have I wouldn't have been kicking off this way, I would have been kicking off this way. And as a result, that's why this area looks like it has such burn across the shoe, right? And what's nice here is that it's almost identical in the left foot. So that sort of wear is also occurring in kind of like the same general area of the shoe, which obviously makes it nice knowing that, okay, the feet are not too, I guess, muscularly imbalanced for the wear to be similar as it is, right? So you can see it's kind of the same spots. Other things to note there is that also on a treadmill, I guess this will I guess the word I'm looking for is it's going to amplify some of the issues that I would have otherwise had running on gravel. Obviously, like running outside or on gravel, you'll have those subtle points, but the treadmill is going to smooth everything out. So you'll probably see, like here, where if I had any sort of rubber that was kind of loose, at any point it would have marbleized on the treadmill, and that's why it looks so polished right now. Okay, anyways, let's not stay on the outsole for too long. The question, I guess, last point with the outsole is, with the way it looks, and having the Nike Vomero 16, I think it was, as a historical reference point to shoes that get into the 300 plus mile range to start losing their outsoles, can you continue running outdoor with this shoe? And I think the answer is obviously yes. There's still a lot of lug to be used on the shoe. Despite this outer area being worn off, I'm in the process of getting my form a little bit more straightened out there. So I should be able to utilize more of that central midfoot kind of lug area. And you can also see it's happening now. Like that area of the shoe is starting to take more of a beat down right there in the center. The left foot, also kind of the same deal. It is taking more of that beat down in the center. But now, when it comes to, I guess, like rainy conditions and things like that, I'll have to be a lot more cautious. Like, yeah, we do have like these canals across the shoe where the water can kind of fly through. But obviously these areas that are completely polished off, the water is going to have a very difficult time kind of running through. So, yeah, there might be a little bit more slip in that case. So we just have to kind of watch out for that, right? Now, some of the more, I guess, boring elements on the outsole, or I guess on the outer portions of the shoe, is that there's no rips that I see immediately. The one thing that's kind of been self-inflicted with the shoe is more or less the way I take it off. Oh yeah, you can totally see it if I show you the heels, right? So, if you see a difference in the heels, you'll see that the right foot has a little bit more dirt and splotch on it than the left, and that's a result of me, whenever I take off my right shoe, I use this shoe to kind of push down on it. Bad habits, don't do that, right? For more reasons than one, but the first reason there is, like, the heel is starting to, like, almost rip off on this shoe, but that doesn't really bother me necessarily, because I'm not doing much heel striking to begin with unless it's walking, and if so, like, the walking is so minimal in this shoe that it's like, that's as far as it goes on the heel, right? Minus like some of the other wear and tear that's kind of occurring barely on the foam side of it. So that's just something that's a no-no. Like, untie your shoes and then you take them off with like a hand or like, you know, a shoe, is that called a shoe horn? I think that's what it is, the spoon that like goes in the heel. It's a shoe horn or a shoe spoon. I think it's a shoe horn though. Use that, obviously, and that will be kind of nice to sort of work with. In terms of ride at 300 plus miles, I've had people comment saying that their shoes like start feeling like popcorn and like basically lose all of their punch after like 150, 200 miles or so. And I can see that being a case, but I also have to wonder, like, how fast are you attempting to run in this shoe that it's losing its pop, right? Like, are you trying to use this shoe on race day? Are you using this as a recovery run day shoe? Because for my utility for the shoe, it's just personal preference, right? I'm not using this as a tempo runner right now. I'm using this for, like, my easy daily runs. I'm using this as my 2-a-day run on a treadmill, which will take, like, 2-3 miles a night sometimes. I will run outside with it, like for easy workouts, for group runs. So I'm not trying to run fast in this shoe, right? But that being said, like, it doesn't feel like it's lost a lot of its attack at this point. But I can see why, like, with the foam fatigue and the wrinkles that are kind of occurring with it, I should be expecting to see more if I'm trying to run faster in it. But maybe that's something we'll do, like, on a track, right? Like, how is the foam fatigue and the wrinkles in certain areas and the stress markings and the outsole rubber combined going to affect the speed and pace of the shoe overall? With that being said, I'm just kind of like looking at the shoe now, and I'm like barely seeing a tear just right here in the midsole area of the shoe, almost probably undetectable by the camera. We can like really try, but it's like right where my middle finger is, like there's a tear on the shoe there. So that's just fun and spontaneous to see on the fly. Do I have something on this side that kind of resembles it? Doesn't look like it. That wear and tear is more resemblant of like, or yeah, more resembles like what was happening on the Boston 11 when I had it. But the Boston 11 like tore like almost immediately, like after 150 miles or so. So here, this material, the mesh upper is a lot softer and it's a little more flexible than that like tighter material, right? So that being said, you don't have as much streamline in this shoe as you would have had in the Boston 11, obviously. So that's just something to, you know, think about at this time. But as a daily trainer all the way across, my rating here is like, it's still good. 300 plus miles, like for a lot of people, it might be like, who cares? The shoe's in good shape, like whatever. For me, it's not normal that a shoe gets to this lifespan. Since this channel's, I guess, existence, I've only had a few daily runners that have ever gotten to this point, which would have been the Pegasus 37 from Nike, the Boston 12s, which I still have and still run in actively, and I think this shoe, I can't think of any, well, the Vomero 16, there we go, the honorable mention is the Vomero 16. That's a shoe that, in theory, I could have kept running in, but I chose to, like, hang them up and be like, that's enough, we're, like, almost at 400 miles, let's chill. Or it might have been already past 400, I'll have to, like, double check that. But that shoe had so much outsole wear and tear that when I was like running on hills and stuff, I was getting a bit of slip, so I just said, okay, that's enough. Like it's cool, right? I don't think currently with the Puma's outsole setup that may be an issue immediately, but we can always test it in the rain to see if I am experiencing a little bit of slip, you know. So at this point, 300 plus miles deep, this daily trainer is still in a good spot. You guys are on fire when it comes to good shoe recommendations for me to try and kind of keep in my rotation. Obviously, I'm a big fan of this shoe. The offset at like 6.5 millimeters or 6, I think that's in this shoe. It's a great fit for my foot, pun intended, I suppose. So, yeah, lots of good things here. If you have some like femoral anteversion or you had some pronation originally, this is a great shoe just for your feet. And if you have strong arches, also a good setup for you as well there. So, yeah. I think we'll leave it at that. If you agree or disagree with the assessment, you know, let me know in the comments below. It's been a minute since we talked about this shoe. I feel like I spammed the channel for a while with this Puma because I was like really excited about it. And now as it's kind of like the honeymoon phase is over and we're like kind of in the rolling motions of the shoe, it's hard to come up with new ideas of how to discuss it. But yeah, at this point, it's still going to keep going despite half the shoe just being more worn out than the other half. But we're going to get there. Once my running form improves, we're going to see this area of the foot start taking a little bit more of a beating. So, yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. So, thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.